We're going to jump right into this, so getting some of these visuals created, and we'll just actually go ahead and jump right in and get some of the images themselves created and kind of a few tips and tricks that help make those look a little nicer. So I've got some good data here. What I'm going to bring in initially for this is a stockpile. So what I've got is the surface of a stockpile, and I've also got the scan data for the stockpile as well. So I'm going to go ahead and bring that in on top. So for creating these visuals, there's a couple things that I like to do that tend to help people really get a feel for what they're looking at, kind of help them get their bearings in terms of, what data is actually being shown in the picture. So, and one of those tricks is keeping the point data in the viewer with the surface when you create that photo. And to get rid of any of that overlap, there's just a real quick filter to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and run a proximity filter, and I'm just going to get rid of all of the points that are within, we'll say, 3 feet of the surface that's in here, so of this stockpile surface. So let's go ahead and get rid of those. Perfect. And it looks like we may have missed a few dust points, but that's fine. We'll just clip those out real quick. So by leaving the point cloud data in here, what we're able to do is really give a good idea of what the clients are looking at. So in this case, I am going to turn this around, and you can see that we've got these conveyors in here. So that's going to be a really good visual in terms of, okay, I know kind of where we're at in the field and what direction we're looking. Another really good thing, personally, that I think helps make the data or the image look a little cleaner is actually changing the view that we're looking at it in. So if you see this box right here, we typically look at data in the orthographic view, and I'm going to change this to perspective. And what that's going to do is it makes it look a little bit more like you're standing where the camera is positioned. So, we'll just go ahead and rotate that and zoom around to where we like it. Okay, say we like that right there. All we've got to do at that point is click on this little icon that looks just like a camera. It's going to bring this up and prompt us, and then we can create either a PNG, JPEG, a BMP file. I'm going to go ahead and just stick with a JPEG, and we'll go ahead, yeah, that's fine, throw it into there, and stockpile with today's date. Perfect. And the beauty of this is that rather than just hitting print screen on the laptop or on your keyboard, you're not going to get any of this other stuff. So you're not going to get the toolbars, you're not going to get the drop down menus, just what's in the viewer. So it's going to be a little bit higher resolution than what you would have otherwise gotten, and you're not going to get any of the extra stuff. So in fact, that just popped up right over here in my pictures. So we'll go ahead and bring that up. And there you go. So right there in Windows Photo Viewer, you can see the pictures brought right in. And that's just a standard JPEG, so you can drop that into an email to show people which pile that volume came from, throw it into a presentation, whatever you need to do. So let's see here, let's kind of continue along this path. So what I'm going to do now, if another really good visual aspect in terms of communicating volumetric information, like this stockpile for instance, is actually displaying what that volume is. And we can do that really easily. We've got a lot of different options for creating annotations in the viewer. One of my favorites is just throwing a marker on the data itself, so I can pick where I want that. We'll go ahead and orientate that sign so it's looking at us. And then this is where I tend to put in, the actual volume or, the pile name or the pile type. So we can put whatever text on there we want. Rotate this around. There we go. So we can have the volume of the pile, the material type, whatever information we want on there, but then rather than just creating the photo, we're actually going to take this one step further. So what I'm going to do, if you look at this kind of what looked to me looks like a little Adobe Acrobat on a hangman here icon, I'm going to export this to a 3D PDF. In fact, let me just drop this onto my desktop. Perfect. So we'll just do today's date. Overwrite that old one, go ahead and replace it. And so what this is going to do is this is actually going to create an interactive PDF that the end user can open, and they don't have to have Studio, but they can actually look at it in 3D. In fact, let me bring that up right now just so you can kind of see what we're looking at. So there we go. Let me minimize that. Oops. All right. And I'm going to launch this PDF right here. And so what I've got opening right now is just the standard Adobe Reader. This is the just whatever comes with Windows. I don't have any, I'm not paying for an extra fancy version or anything like that. And it's got my sign that I put in there. It's got the surface. And if you look at that, we can actually rotate the data around. So being able, there's times when you just want to drag the person into the room, sit them down in front of the computer, and show them Studio to try to get that information across to somebody. This is a really powerful tool to be able to communicate that. And being able to take that surface and actually share it where somebody can spin it around and really get a feel for what it looks like out in the field, that's huge. So jumping back into Studio. So what you can do for either one of those that's also really just kind of an added really cool visual effect. In fact, I'm going to undo it here real quick so I can show you guys what I'm talking about. You can change the appearance of the surface by kind of adjusting how translucent it appears. So what I've got in front of us here, I have two surfaces. This is a cast blast that was done at a coal mine, and I've got this this pre-surface. Whoops. Let's see here. Hide that. Let's just grab the pre-surface to begin with. Bring that in. So this is obviously the blast pattern that we've created the surface for. This is before the blast went down. And then I've got my post surface here. Let's bring that in. That's after the blast went down. So we can do a couple of different things here to really show that a little bit easier for people. So I'm going to take this pre-blast, go up to my color, and then I'm going to bring the translucency way closer to transparent than opaque. And now what I've got, and that might have been a little aggressive, but what I can do with that, you can really get a feel for how much material we were actually able to cast, all the way over, cast to final. So that's really powerful. Again, just another visual effect. And you can again turn that into perspective. You can actually kind of drop it into that void there in between the two. Really give people a feel for where the material went, what it looks like before, what it looks like after. So just kind of an extra little visual effect to have in your back pocket there. And so you've got a good idea on how to communicate the data where somebody can interact with it. You've got a good idea on how to get a really clean looking picture and even put some volumetric information or titles or anything like that. But if you want something that maybe has the same effect as the 3D PDF, but you can send out to a broader audience, and maybe in the case of a presentation, sometimes what's really beneficial is actually being able to create a bit of a video, just kind of a quick fly through of the data or what the actual field looks like with the data. So by hitting this kind of play button right here, this is going to bring up my video editor, or my animation editor. And basically all I have to do is every time I hit create frame or append keyframe, basically it takes a snapshot and then it'll just smoothly transition everything in between there. So I've already created one. We'll go ahead and rotate this around a little bit, and I've got 5 seconds in between each one of these frames. So we'll just go ahead and create a few here. There we go. And so now when I hit play, you can see that all I had to do was hit a couple of points where I wanted the camera to be, and then it just kind of smoothly translates everything in between there, transitions between it, and then creates a nice little video here. And we can export this out too. So it's not just in Studio. Again, this is all about creating usable visuals that you can use outside of Studio and communicate to people that aren't running the software. So to do that, we just hit publish. We're good to go. We'll go ahead and dump this onto the desktop. That's fine. And there you go. You have it. It exports out as a .avi file, so you can bring that up in any Windows viewer and play that, embed it in a PowerPoint, whatever you need to do. So pretty powerful stuff, but that's really what I wanted to share with you guys. I'm going to go ahead and pass it back over to Burton now to see if we have any questions coming in.
finish, how long does it take the video?
That's a really good question. So, in fact, let me go ahead and pull up that publish menu to answer that. So there's a few things that affect how long the video takes to create or compile, if you will. The biggest one obviously being time, how long your video is. A 5-second video is going to be much, much quicker to create than, you know, a 2 or 3 minute fly through. But the other one here is your resolution. So what I've got right here is 720 HD, which is pretty decent resolution. That's definitely beneficial. You can actually go full 1080 if you're going to be putting this up on a really large screen, a big projector, doing it in a presentation. Better quality, definitely the way to go. But that's not always the case. If you want a video that you can maybe transport around a little bit easier, like emailing it to somebody, you can make the file size A, much smaller, and B, make the actual, you know, process of creating that video much quicker by going with a little bit lower resolution. So it varies quite a bit. I would say a quick video, yeah, you could probably crank out in 2 or 3 minutes. A longer one might take a good 30 or 45. So go ahead and export that and go get yourself a cup of coffee. But hopefully that answers that, and pass it back over to Burton and see if we have anything else.
That's actually it as far as the questions, but you guys have our contact information here. If you have any questions, or if you'd maybe like to see an example of one of those fly-throughs I think Clayton mentioned, happy to send that stuff to you. But I hope you enjoyed it, and also, you know, feel free to let us know if there's any other particular workflows, tools, explanations, or anything like that that we can do. Always looking to add more material to our 10-minute topics. So have a great day, everyone. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you soon.